samanda, 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 samanda. 강온 출생한 이심의 조도 싱한 후만속 세후조성악 가오무려고 의다이세슈 의사이쇼빙구 세후조성악 가시조분도 묘쇼초지보 극겸이셔먼 세후조성악 리역진쇼넨 조회수번교 싱음의조도 이쇼텐인시 진리기엔다이고 의쇼무사이도 절절산 금요 골사이슈야근한 가이히지행엔 메시곤모한 해석쇼와그도 쓰랏젠스몬 고소조만속 이오로지법 니칭한 주주기 댄콘 흥엔 이슈카이호소 고세크도크호 조다이슈주 세포시시크 그요이사이붓 그소크슈 토크혼 난내신조만 덕의산가요 녀붓명예지 쓰닷미흐쇼 난가그에릭 도시사이쇼섬 싱안야코카 다이센노간도 고크쇼텐닌 도진묘케 나만다부 나만 Namandabu. 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 Gannishiku Byodo Seisai Dolhot Bodai Ojo Namandaps, 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 namandaps. Please join me in Gassho. In reflecting on the great ocean of Shinjin, I realize that there is no discrimination between noble and humble or black-robed monks and white-clothed laity, no differentiation between man and woman, old and young. The amount of evil one has committed is not considered. The duration of any performance of religious practices is of no concern. It is a matter of neither practice nor good acts, neither sudden attainment nor gradual attainment, neither meditative practice nor non-meditative practice, neither right contemplation nor wrong contemplation, neither thought nor no thought, neither daily life nor the moment of death, neither many calling nor once calling. It is simply Shinjin, that is inconceivable, inexplicable, and indescribable. It is like the medicine that eradicates all poisons. The medicine of the Tathagata's vow destroys the poisons of our wisdom and foolishness. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namandaps, 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 namandaps. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for tuning in today to our first Sunday service for the month of February. Well, I don't know about all of you, but I am ready to start getting back to normal in terms of having services regularly here at the temple, and I'm really eager to meet you all, and I am very sad that for many of us, we still have not yet been able to meet in person. Despite my feelings and frustrations, though, I still must remember that the COVID-19 virus is still running rampant throughout our society. And yes, there are vaccines that are coming out and that vaccines are being distributed, but still, There are still numbers climbing in terms of people getting infected with the virus, and still the amount of people are dying from the virus. So it is still all too important that we as a community continue to practice safety measures to ensure the health of ourselves and the health of others. So despite the fact that I may want to have many services here at the temple and that I want to start having the temple packed, I can't do it yet, or we shouldn't do it yet. I shouldn't do it yet. So in today's Gosandai, or the quote, I felt it was appropriate to share this passage from Shinran's magnum opus, the Kyogyo Shinshu. This is because this passage reminds us all that Amida Buddha does not discriminate against any sentient being that seeks to be born in the Pure Land. For me, this is why I am still so taken with this teaching, that I am an ordinary person who is drowning in his own sense of ego and the sense of self and self-centeredness. I am so far from the time of the Buddha, the Shakyamuni Buddha for that matter, over 2,500 years of separation of time between myself and Shakyamuni. For this very reason, Bodhisattva Dharmakara crossed 10 kalpas of time to become a timeless Buddha that everyone in every direction at any time can rely upon. This reliance is ultimately what Shinjin is. This is a difficult concept to discuss in our sect of Buddhism, and frankly, cannot be adequately explained in one Dharma talk. However, I will tackle what I can about this loaded topic and explore it further in further Dharma talks and probably YouTube videos. This word Shinjin has had an interesting history in the Buddhist churches of America. In terms of Dharma talks and things we talk about, in some ways, the subject was avoided. I feel because it was often translated as faith. And now, personally, I do not have trouble with this translation, but I realize some people might. And I also realize that the word faith is also a loaded word and does come from a Christian context or an Abrahamic religious context. Though again, I never was one to believe that Christianity, nor any Abrahamic religion for that matter, had a monopoly on this word faith. However, another more modern translation that I have also heard or come across is entrusting heart. Our entrusting heart to Amida Buddha for leading us from this life of suffering to a life of full awakening. I don't want to spend too much time on the translation of the concept, since this should be covered in a seminar taught by ministers far smarter than I am. However, I wanted to explain it briefly so we can reacquaint ourselves with the term. For those of you who are interested, there is a long explanation of the chapter of Shinjin and the concept of Shinjin in volume 2 of the collected works of Shinran, which I am certain you all have. And it starts on page 34 and it goes until page 47. So in terms of being born into the Pure Land, Shinran explains that Shinjin alone is what causes us to be born in the Pure Land. So first, we have to look at the criteria of who is accepted to the Pure Land. Shinran listed it out. Well, actually, he listed things that don't matter, or things that are not relevant to our acceptance to the Pure Land. In a sense, all of these qualities that he listed are what he considered to be superficial qualities. A rich person, a poor person, noble person, an average ordinary person, a monk who is extremely seasoned and has done countless and extremely difficult practices, Buddhist practices, or a lay person who hasn't even probably sat 1 ounce of meditation in their entire lives. Or even the concept of a good person and a bad person. All of these things don't matter. Shinjin is all it is. Now here is where this gets tricky too. I can say everything above, and I can tell you that Amida Buddha does not discriminate, and I can tell you about the acceptance of all to the Pure Land. However, then comes the hard part of actually taking these teachings to heart. In the very same chapter, Shinran takes this very dramatic shift in his tone and says something that almost seems random and kind of morbid. He says, I know how truly grievous it is that I, Gotoku Shinran, am sinking in an immense ocean of desires and attachments, and am lost in vast mountains of fame and advantage, so that I rejoice not at all at entering the stage of the truly settled, and feel no happiness at coming nearer the realization of true enlightenment. How ugly it is, how wretched. Wow, what a harsh thing to say about oneself. However, I think there was something to this other than self-deprecation. In the modern times we live in today, I see Buddhism being consumed in a, well, for a lack of a better word, capitalistic sense. Now, I realize that we live in America and that capitalism is the system we function with here in our society, or that's our chosen economic system. However, the way I see Buddhism being consumed in this sense is, if I engage in this practice, or if I subscribe to this belief, then my reward will be this, right? So one way I see Zen Buddhism being consumed in a way is a person who is new to Buddhism sees this and says something like, if I practice Zazen, meditation, I will be more spiritually awakened. More generally, if I subscribe to the teachings of Buddhism, then my reward will be enlightenment. Now, in one sense, this sentiment is not technically incorrect, but this attitude of what do I get out of it is something I think Shinran was making sure we were very aware of when engaging with the Buddhist teachings, or engaging with Jodo Shinshu teachings as well. And so here is how I have seen sometimes this type of attitude enacted with the teachings of Jodo Shinshu. And remember, in previous talks, I talked about the concept of licensed evil, right? So for some people, I sometimes, and this is not always apparent in today's modern sense, there is this concept of licensed evil, where when a person proclaims to the world and themselves that they put their fullest trust in Amida Buddha, therefore, that frees them to do whatever they want, to act in hedonistic and sometimes destructive manners, right? That's licensed evil, and that is a problem, right? So that's definitely one aspect of this. It's like, ooh, if I join this temple of Jodo Shinshu, then I don't have to do anything. I can be mean, I can be a jerk, I can drink all I want to, I can eat all the meat I want, all of these things. I can do all these destructive things. I can, add to the carbon footprint because Amida Buddha is going to save me, right? That is, in a sense, a very bad motivation to actually get into our teachings. But I have also noticed the sense of spiritual superiority as well. When being confronted with the concept of racism and how Black people in our American society are treated as targets of racial profiling and aggression, I was disappointed to see that people who were followers of Jodo Shinshu started quoting the passage I read above about non-discrimination to try to convince either themselves or the rest of the community that racism or race is an illusion, or that Amida's concept of non-discrimination in a way cancels out the concept of racism altogether. To intellectually explain something or to bring to light that race is in fact a human construct doesn't mean that the racism and the prejudice in our society all of a sudden disappear. We as Buddhists really need to once again examine ourselves and how we utilize the teachings in our daily lives. Shinran reminds us again that while we may begin to engage with these teachings, we must also not forget who we are and our shortcomings. In our case, we will make many, many mistakes along the way. We will probably fail many, many times. This, however, doesn't mean we stop critiquing and self-reflecting about the teachings we listen to on a daily basis. And this also doesn't mean that we don't try. I myself am guilty of spiritual superiority as well. And sometimes maybe these robes get to me, right? Sometimes I stand up here on this podium and it's elevated off the ground. I mean, It sometimes will go to my head. I love these teachings, and I love discussing in depth of what Shinjin means and how we should be engaging with this concept. I apologize as I realized this Dharma talk was a little long and deeply involved in text and teaching. But the fact that I am a Buddhist, right, doesn't make me special. And I think this is what Shinran was talking about when he talks about Shinjin, right, when he talks about the concept of Shinjin. By the way, later in a talk, I'm going to talk about how Shinjin is not just this concept or something that we achieve or something that we can consume, right? But that Shinjin is in fact given to us by Amida Buddha. So the fact that I am a Buddhist, that doesn't make me special. The fact that I am a priest, that I get to wear these cool robes, that doesn't make me special. The fact that I may know more Buddhist text or more scripture than another person doesn't make me special. Despite the robe I wear, the lessons I give, I am still part of this world with all of you. I am still learning like all of you. I still have ways to grow just like everyone else. So with that being said, I ask all of us to deeply consider what it means, right? What Shinjin means, what it means to have an entrusting heart towards Amida Buddha, right? Is it for something for us to say, oh, I have Shinjin now, therefore I get to do whatever I want, right? No, right? This is not a concept. I will say very frankly that I am certain that Zen priests will also say the same thing about the concept of satori, right? Satori, is it this thing that you achieve after you sit for a long, long time, right? And I think this is sort of the misconception that people have about Buddhism when they go into it, right? It's that, ooh, it's this in teaching and this concept or this practice that I can engage in, and therefore I will get this thing out of it, right? It goes very much deeper than that. So I would like you all to consider the word of Shinjin, and I'll probably put it within my Dharma talk. I'll probably have the text somewhere, and just really think about what it means to have an entrusting heart towards Amida Buddha. So with that being said, please, everyone, I know that vaccinations are coming and people are getting vaccinated. I heard that some members of our temple have also gotten their first vaccine doses. Great job. But again, continue to mask up, continue to practice social distancing. Sometimes you have to shelter in place. Again, avoid touching right now, and avoid gathering in large groups. And it's hard. It's hard. I understand it's very hard. And I myself am feeling this. I really want to go out. I really want to see my friends. I want to get together with all these people. I am feeling that sentiment just as much. However, we must all do our part and act with our community in order to ensure that my health, your health, everybody else's health are very much protected. So with that in mind, please repeat the Nembutsu and join me in Gassho. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namandats, 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 Namandats. To conclude this service, I would like to end with reading Shoni Nichiryusho, or Renyo's letter on the traditions of Shinran Shonin. Shonin Nichiryu no go kanke no omomuki wa Shinjin no motte honto serare soro. そのゆえはもろもろの造業を投げ捨てて一心に皆に奇妙すれば不可思議の眼力として仏の方より往生味上せしめたもそのくらいを一年発起入少女始終とも釈し、 その上の称名念仏った如来我が往生を定めたまいし、ご恩法人の念仏と心べきなり。あなかしこ、あなかしこ。
I am a link in a Venus golden chain of love that stretches out